Raffaella Vota from LinkedIn, where videos go to work. I'm a biased person. Yes. It's a long day. Yeah.
Hello. Good afternoon, everybody. How do you feel? Afternoon. We're going to talk again about video, and I know it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon after a very intense day. So hopefully, I'll make sure that that I keep you awake. Anyway, lovely to be here. Very happy to be here for the second year at Slimasol. My name is Raffaella, and I work at LinkedIn as Global Creative Agency Lead. Now, what we're talking about today is something that you didn't hear, right? Video. What we would like to share with you is why we want to talk about video. So we know video is not new. We just had TikTok talking about it. We had YouTube. So we just wanted to share why video at the moment is becoming a big topic on our platform. And then we're talking a little bit about B2B. That's why we talk about the LinkedIn video, B2B video revolution. But let's not forget that we also have like B2C brands on the platform, specifically lots of luxury clients who are really tapping into these formats, let's say, these new ways of thinking and talking on the platform. So just a small... That's very much of a very small snapshot of video is eating the world. It's actually, we've stolen this sentence from Mark Anderson, who in 2011, when software was actually eating the world, he actually coined this sentence. What we want to say is that we have seen that on the platform, brands and people are behaving very differently, and it's all about, essentially, video is becoming the new language of business. So it's the way that brands connect, persuade, and grow, and it's not a way of unwinding, if you want, it's very much the way that we work. That's why we thought, okay, let's look into it, and let's understand how we can help brands, creators, because I want to touch on creator later, how we can help them amplify their voice and grow their business on LinkedIn. So the first thing that the reason why we decided to deep dive into that is because the data really are talking. We had last year in 2024, 36% of an increase of video viewership, which is basically 144 billion views, right? So that one gave us a lot of data as well to analyze. And so, like we were saying, we're very much witnessing in the way that the B2B brands behave, very much of a change, of a big evolution, of a big moment. So from, let's say, marketing brands, what we've seen is that there is a double spending on global video ad, but also on, in the last 5 years, but also on paid campaigns. So because we do like our science, we like our insights, we want to understand, okay, everybody talks about video, and I love what TikTok has just shown because I really admire TikTok. I know it's a brackets, but we wanted to understand why video matters, right? So why is that? So the first thing that we went back is that the content on the LinkedIn, I was just talking at lunch with somebody and was saying, and I was told, how do you get viral? You know, it's a different kind of platform. You go on LinkedIn with a business mindset because you want to learn about your professional career, because you want to know about next job, or actually you want to share your expertise, or you want to see what the latest industry is. So virality is probably not the right kind of currencies, even if you can get viral on LinkedIn. It's more about the fact that it's the trusting environment and it drives influence, which is really important. And so one of the things that we were saying is, from a marketing perspective, short video, have emerged as the most effective type of marketing that you can get. And you can see from the slide in here, lots of stats. But essentially, it looks like, what we're saying is that short-form social video are the one that tends to give you the highest ROI. We know that professional storytelling is also very important, is growing. One thing that is actually changing, I joined LinkedIn 3.5 years ago, and I engage mostly with creative agencies. And 3.5 years ago, when I was talking to creative agencies, they were like, yeah, sure. Now they are coming to me and asking me how I can leverage on this new format, or how I can leverage in general on the platform. And so one thing that we are seeing recently, and in fact there's a stat that says you've got an uptick of 27% of video creative or native video on LinkedIn, which is something that before we were always been an afterthought, right? And again, the viewer time has actually increased. Why is all that? I think that this is not new, but like from a neurological perspective, we know that as human beings, we are wired to hear and listen to stories. And so we've seen that with video actually, they captures all the three key factors, if you want, of the marketing, what marketing is, which is attention, engagement, and then retention of message, which we know, ad recall, is probably one of the key issue, or like when it comes also from B2B, but also B2C, it's actually one of the key challenge for brands, right? So it's retention. The last aspect of why video matters is that when it comes to emotion, so we have done an analysis and trying to understand, out of all the format that we've got, which one is the one that drives more emotional reaction? And basically, it's 62% were driving videos. And so that's why we're just going to conclude this bit with the role of emotional storytelling. Let's not forget that we have got B2C audience on the platform, but we also have, when it comes to B2B, emotional storytelling is really important. Let's remember that telling stories with a beginning, a middle, and an end, probably with a challenge, what you could do, and then a resolution, really help in cutting through the feed, which at the moment we know is very, let's say, busy, or like we are living very much of a content revolution. So this was like, if you want, like the premise. Because we do like to provide stats and science, we've done our research. And we call it the art and science of video. And essentially, what we have done, we have analyzed, with AI, 13,000 B2B video ad paid. And then because what we wanted to understand, we wanted to help all of you, our members who are now really engaging with video, understand what, from a creative perspective, is important, what are the key principles that you need to bear in mind that can really help you to command the attention on the feed, right? And so out of these studies, what we've done, we have uncovered, if you want, some principles that can really help you, and then if you bear that in mind, to leverage the platform. One thing that I would like to remember is that these principles are not like the magic wand, meaning we'll tell you this principle, you follow them, it's done. There's different criteria, I'm sure you know all of it. So first, understanding your objective. Second is understanding your target audience. Be really mindful who you want to talk to, because that's a primary lever of success when you, especially on LinkedIn, but like anywhere else. And then you can apply all the information or principle that we're going to share with you. So out of this research, one important premise, second premise, is that creativity is actually really important, is actually helping you in gaining a lever of traction with your audience, right? And so that's why we say that creative isn't just a wrapper, isn't just like, the nice packaging. It's actually the engine that can help you in increasing completion rate, as you can see, but also in increasing, the engagement rate. So let's not forget how important, because very often we know, before we talked a lot about how performance is important. We know that, sometimes when you go into brand, the creative is also, it plays a crucial role. So this is something that also came out in our research. So what are the 5, key principles that we identified? Some of those. 5 of them is like cultural coding, which is basically just tapping into culture. I think it was referenced before by Mary from Kanta on the importance of like tapping into cultural and social and the culture in general. The human touch. It's important that you show a person or that there is a human being, that you show the human behind a logo. Attention hacking is like, how do you tell a story that is actually compelling and that stops the whole of the scrolling that's happening and the busyness that is happening on the feed. Expert takes, because the value exchange of LinkedIn is actually the expertise, showing expert, showing people who can actually give me a value that can be useful, it's something that scores really high. This is actually what came out from our research. And also inspiring imagination, being visionary, right? Showing something different from the ordinary, from the everyday, is something that really can help you stand out from the crowd. Just going to go one by one, but just give you some example of how brands are actually tapping into some of these principles. The first one is like we said, cultural coding. When you tap into the work or social culture, and you do it with intent, not just because it's trending, you get closer to your consumers, right? You get closer, you basically you turn corporate communication into conversations. And so from a perspective of a stats, what we have seen is that when you tap into pop culture, you gain 41% of engagement, and then when you tap into meme, it's 1,100%. What you see in here, it's actually Hootsuite. It's a tech brand, and essentially what they have done, they just simply want to show that with their insights you can get better leads. But what they've done, they tapped into culture, into memes. This is a lady who is showing how challenging is it today, social media, and how challenging is it to actually work in the office today, because every 2 seconds there is a different input, whether they're asking to do something or a training. And so this was like simply tapping into the culture to stop the people, interest them in getting closer to the audience. The second one is the human touch. We actually have different studies. There was one study that we had is that when you show people on camera and they smile, you actually have much more of an engagement rate and click-through rate, because we relate when there is a human being behind the brand. And one thing that we've seen is that real people and authenticity, which is not difficult, as you know, to gain if you want, can really help you in telling stories that can stick and can be memorable. In this example, this is like Cognizant, but what they're doing, they're simply showing how different sales representatives and how their reality, you can see that they're simply like showing their reality in the everyday, how their reality changes depending on the local culture. And in here, there's also another principle, if you want, where essentially local culture, sometimes what we've seen is that when you show the local culture, when you talk directly to the audience, you say, hey, you from Denmark, or you call out the audience, it does actually help in having a stopping effect on the platform. So what we've seen in here is that it does help the authenticity, and also when people tell stories which are relevant, it does help with the engagement rate. The other one is attention hacking, and this one can seem a bit like, okay, it's pure design, something that is probably not very new, but actually, one thing that we've seen is like much more native format, much more LinkedIn native video, but then what the data are telling us is that brands that unexpectedly use bright colors or even like dynamic text, they can, if you say, of course, you need to tell a story, and there needs to be a certain message, and it's unexpected, it does help you and increase engagement, both in 15% if it's bold colors, and 40% if it's dynamic text. This is an example of Accenture song. What they're doing in here, they are literally talking about their annual reports. and it's the Trends Annual Report. And you would probably not expect kind of this approach, which is rather psychedelic, but it does help in being remembered and being recalled. And it's something that even other brands like Microsoft, Salesforce, who are generally blue, right? They've actually adopted bright colors because it does really help in making sure that you are stopping and commanding attention on the feed. Expertise. Because of the nature of the platform, it might seem probably logical or like straightforward, but when you show experts who they need to be credible, in a setting like this one from Slack, which is like the everyday setting, when they're on stage, the expert, you gain a 70% engagement when they are on a conference stage. Why? Because it's credibility. Because you come on the platform, because you want to learn about the latest industry news, because you want to learn about what's happening in your company, or like what your other executive is doing. And so the value exchange becomes really important. And this is not the first time that we see that having an expert, it needs to be the right expert, it needs to be credible, helps with your engagement. The last one is inspiring imagination. That's an example of, is from Salesforce, but basically what we're saying is that when you have narratives that harness the power of imagination to elevate the everyday to the extraordinary, you are really likely to help with your engagement rate, but also with it's really important from a strong stopping effect. The example that you've got in here, it's something that we know, it's Salesforce in Matthew McConaughey. Not everybody can afford that. But the important thing is that you can replicate that content even if you don't have like a celebrity like him. Essentially what he's doing, talking about AI agentic, is that basically he is, I think this is probably fourth time today we are talking about it, but essentially he is advertising different form of AI agentic of what they're doing, whether from travel, medical, and then from a technical expert. And essentially what we've seen is that this one really helps because you're also showing in a brand cinematic effect. You can see the first time, I don't know if you've noticed that, it's not vertical, it's actually horizontal. In this case, because you're going over the top, you're portraying something almost visionary, that's where it works. That's where actually you can afford to have this horizontal format. So all this to say is that when it comes to video, even if it's B2B, you're talking to B2B buyers, you're talking actually also to B2C buyers. Don't just think about ads, think about the fact that you are telling stories. And so we have seen that, that one really helps when you tell stories. People are actually increasing the dwell time. Dwell time generally takes you to increases your brand uplift and recognition and awareness. So that's something that we are always supporting. These are basically the wrap-up is all about, video is becoming the new language of business. We call it lingua franca in here. Human-centered storytelling with an expert is really, or actually brand blockbusters approach really help you in cutting through the feed. But also another thing, there was a slide in here about the journey, but we know that video works across the whole journey from brand to conversion, to consideration to conversion. So that's basically very much about the video. I also wanted to add something about the creator opportunity. And the reason why I wanted to add that, and it's always relating to video, by the way, is because when I joined LinkedIn 3.5 years ago, the creator or the influencer were very much at the infancy. There was nothing. And I had a lot of creator asking me, and I'm sure there's some people who use platform and they've actually probably expanded their business on the platform on LinkedIn, but there was basically nothing. And I'm happy to say, or I'm quite to see that because we're seeing the evolution of how members behave or how all of you behave, we actually decided to increase, expand our product to make sure that we can help them in having success and grow their client. So this is actually, I forgot to delete. So one thing that we did say is that the evolution that we're seeing at the moment on LinkedIn is driven by the way the members behave. All of you behave. You upload content, you upload video, you consume videos. There's also another change, is that we've got 70% of the members who are Gen Z. We know that Gen Z are mainly consuming and talking the language of videos. And so that's why we decided to listen in a way and making sure that we've got format. I don't like to say format. I don't want this to be like selling. I want this to be a way of showing that as any brands, if you are servicing, if you are in service, in this case it's a platform, if you don't listen to your consumers, to your members, you don't provide something that they can use, they're going to disappear. And so BrandLink, I'm just going to introduce BrandLink. I know it is a product we've got. It's a new format. At the moment, it's just in beta in the US. So what it is like, think about contextualized advertising, right? So you as a brand, you can actually buy the pre-roll ads in a context of these publishers. So what we have done, we have we have actually partnered with some of the publishers that we see in here, and then we added creators. So in this case, you've got like Bloomberg, Business Insider, Billboard, but we've got many more. We actually we are adding more and more. So we've got in Germany, Der Zeitung, we've got many. The idea is that you are basically buying, so this is a good example. So you are Reuters, you are, as a brand, you are like EY, or you're doing finance, right? You are a fintech company. What you could do, you can see this is an example from SaaS. You can actually buy the pre-roll within that, before the Reuters ad. That one helps in being paired, helps your content in being paired, and then actually to a very premium environment. And so what we have seen is that this works really well. But at the moment, what we have done, we expanded it to creators. So if ever there are creators, and this is to help them. We are vetting creators starting in the US, but then we're going to expand. Creators who we know are actually pushing out. They've got like certain expertise. They are valuable for the members. And so the idea is that we help them if you can buy the pre-roll, we help them in commercializing their activity on the platform, right? So just an example, talking a lot about B2B. This is actually B2C. Cartier has actually partnered with Bloomberg. Now, you think Cartier Bloomberg is a bit different? Yes, because Bloomberg, they've got a division, in this case, of video content on trend watches. What they've done, they partnered, and because Cartier wanted to sponsor and increase the brand awareness of their jewelry range. So one thing that, what the outcome of the experiment is that essentially they've seen an increase in ad recall, but also in engagement rate. So what that means is that we're starting to see a lot of result when you use BrandLink, depending, of course, if the contextualization is right. The last one, so the way that we're actually evolving our creator offer in a way, but always with the brand DNA of LinkedIn in mind, which is essentially the value exchange, expertise, value content. It's called Shows by LinkedIn. What we've done in here, and this is literally just launched 6 months ago, it's in the making, and it's only in the US, is that basically we have partnered with key creators. You see some of these are celebrities. Actually, there's many more, because you don't need to be a celebrity to be a business thought leaders on LinkedIn. But essentially, we came out with 6 different topics. You can see AI in action, the founder blueprint, the CEO playbook. These are topics that we know they are like topical for the B2B market and for the B2B business. And so the idea is that you as a brand can pair with any of the creators that we have chosen, and you can run shows for 6 months. And this is just like unique content. So there are videos, there are insights, there are podcasts. The idea is that for 6 months, you've got this exclusive content that gets published by you organically, you as the creator and you as a brand. And the things is we're starting to tier in, going down the level when it comes to the creator offer, which is essentially, this is probably the premium one, but you as a brand can buy the pre-roll ad ahead of, I don't know, Candace Nelson, if you're on a certain topic, and you can buy that particular pre-roll. So contextualize into this, and it's exclusive because it's only for 6 months. So we're really starting to tearing up and making sure that the creators have got a space. The last thing that we're doing is that, I mean, this is very much of a, what can I say, functional slide, but I'm actually going to go to the next one. So just to show that we are essentially choosing a lot of creators depending on the topic, and we're going to add more and more so that you can actually choose whoever you want. And the way that we're going in the direction is that we are looking at the a creator matching tool. So if you as a brand at a certain moment are in need of finding an expert on a certain topic, you can actually do it alone on the platform. This is going to probably 6 months down the line. It's on the roadmap. But the thing is, for me, it's exciting because we were not born as a content space. We were born as a professional platform. The content is growing, and so, of course, we are evolving every day the offer that we give. So I actually have, I don't know if I've got time, but I'm happy to, I only have an example, and I don't know if it's, I wanted to show an example of like how you can use the platform in a completely different way, and but it's actually not around video, but it's just to give you a little bit of an inspiration on how brands, B2C brands, can leverage the platform or like the LinkedIn in a completely different way. And I'm just going to go quick. One is Netflix, and I realize this is not on video, but essentially it's more unexpected use, a way that you can leverage the capabilities to your advantage. So what they've done, they wanted to launch Squid Game. Netflix wanted to launch Squid Games, the series number 3. And what they've done, they basically made it look like a recruitment ad. In theory, you need to be careful doing it, but they've done it in a way that they could. It looked like a recruitment ad, and when you go and looked at it, it was purely engagement. You can see the kind of engagement that you get from there. And it was just simply a way of understanding that we are, in the core, a recruitment platform. However, in here, they just want to use it just to expand the, amplify the advertising of their launch. And then the second one, I don't know if ever you know about it, and it's just I want to conclude on that. This is like how, when you know, so we give you a lot of like best practice, and this is just about video. So we tell you, yeah, okay, if you have like scroll stopping power, if you have like colors, it can work. But actually sometimes campaign can be really easy if you know your audience really well. And if you actually, and because audience is really targeting, and because people on the LinkedIn, they behave in a certain way, if you know that, you can actually leverage in a very simple way. And I'm just going to show, essentially, I'm just going to play the video from Benjamin Brown, who is the CMO of Samsung today, but used to be the CMO Audi, who gives a perfect example, which is just like food for thought. It's a very short video.
Date was something I did when I worked at Audi, and I did it on LinkedIn. By taking data that LinkedIn have and data that we had at Audi and mashing it together, we got a really interesting, a rich picture of people who are more likely to convert to Audi. We knew from data, historical data, that when you get promoted, one of the first things you do is to update your LinkedIn profile with your new title. We also know that certain titles are more likely to drive an Audi. We also know that getting a promotion means that you probably reward yourself with something. And based on that data, we could orchestrate a data-driven campaign that said, congratulations, John, on your promotion. And here at Audi, we'd like to give you a test drive for a whole week of this new car. And we'll deliver it to your drive, and you can have it for a week, and we'll pick it up. And if you want to keep it, keep it. If not, no questions asked, just congratulations on your promotion. That converted more people to become Audi drivers than any other campaign that I did when I was there, including the ones that I won gold lions for in Cannes.
Basically, that was just a way of concluding the way that you use it. When you know the skills and capabilities of your environment, you can be really successful. That's it.